My girls hold me down, them boys mess around. My love life is a mess. We're going out tonight, 'cause I'm looking for love. Woo! Yes, we are talking about Sistas Season 2, Episode 11. And this is your girl, Barbie J. And we are talking about Episode 11, the hot stove. They mentioned hot stove one time. When the girl was talking to what was his name, Calvin, his girlfriend said, it's like touching a hot stove. I don't get why he named it that, but okay, Tyler, we're going to go with that. But let me give me my shout outs first, because this episode was good at the beginning and at the end. A lot of filler in the middle, but y'all going to have to let me know down in the comment section. But shout outs first to, let's see, we got Shanice Says, Ty Harrell, Karen Wilson, Isaiah Hill, Bobby Ray, Sylvisa 23, Sylvissa, I call her Sylvissa 23, yes, KL, Justine Broxton, and Jalen Lewis. So those are our new shout outs for this week. We're going to get started right away because it started off exciting and thrilling with, of course, Gary up in the house, because I'm sitting there going, just like everybody else is, how did he get in the house? And did she take her key back? But then she said, Andi said, I took my key back. How did you get in there? That Negro had the nerve to say, I got several copies. What the hell? See, you got to watch people, friends and family too. Because I noticed on this show, a lot of them all got everybody's keys to everybody's house. So you don't know who's making copies of what. And I had somebody in my family do that, make a copy of my key after I took their key back, and then they had another set. People crazy. Y'all got to watch out. Family and friends is crazy. Anyway, so Gary's in there, and he's like, oh my God, he got several keys. And she's like, I'm changing the locks. And he's like, she's like, you weren't invited. What are you doing here? You know, I'm going to call the police. And she's trying to be all calm and talk to him. But crazy is crazy, girl. And I guess she handled it right, like trying to be calm. But she really should have called the police on his ass, which we later learned she did not, because she know he would be in trouble. And she still kind of, I guess, love him, as she said. But so he's like, all that money I gave you, that was all the money I had and stuff. And she's like, I'm giving it back to you in the morning. I'm giving it back to you in the morning. You know, I really need to process all of this, you know. And it's just in the way you talk to me. He's like, you know what? Do you love me? And she's like, yes, I do still love you. You know, I thought we were happy. You know, is this how it ended? Is this how it's ended? He's going all crazy and stuff. And she's like, but you get too jealous. I mean, like, look at what you're doing here. And I was like, oh my God, Andi's making me sick. And she's like, you gotta go. And she opens the door and bam. There's Parrish. Because, see, I knew when she was doing that texting, it must have been him saying he was on his way and she's trying to stop him from coming. But he made it upstairs in time to get, he tried to diffuse things and said, you know what, maybe I should leave. She's like, no, he's leaving. He was like, oh, you gonna put me out? You gonna put me out? You know, Gary going off. You gonna put me out? And she's like, no. He said, you know what? Why don't I leave with you? And so she took her stuff, shoes, to go leave out with Paris. And Gary came over there and tried to grab her arm and stuff. And Paris like, yo, dude, what's up? And then, they start tussling. Ooh. It was on and popping. I'm telling you, I don't know what's going on. Why is my camera shaking? I don't know what's happening here. Anyway, so they got into a fight and everything. Whole big blow up. She's sitting there acting like she little, you know. Stop it, stop. Girl, get something and bust him upside the head, okay? Bust him upside the head. No, because she's still in love with this abusive man. She don't know when abuse is abuse. And she's like, so, Gary, leave. The police are coming. I called the police. The police, I don't care about the police. I don't care about the police. He's just going in, and y'all saw it. You know, y'all saw it. But that part was so exciting to me, you know. So they threw down. All of a sudden, she's like, stop it. She got them apart, her little self. She got, just stop it. And she's like, you gotta leave. And he's like, he gotta leave. She's like, no, you gotta leave. Then she popping mess. You know how sisters do. We start popping mother's mess. And you gotta go. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up, because he got a bunch of sets of your keys. And the last thing you should have did was try to tell, oh, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me bring it back. He's like, you better bring me my effing money, okay? You better have my effing money in the morning. And he leaves, and he tried to kill him. Gary's like, dude, my man, get out. You know, Paris is like, my man, get out. Closed the door. He said, what the fuck was that? What was that? And he's asking Andi, what are you doing with a guy like that? What is wrong with you? You know, and she's putting ice on his hand and trying to make him feel better and stuff. You know, he's like, I'm up here bleeding. And she's like, he's like, did you know he was going to be here? She's like, no, I didn't know. No, of course not. You know, he's like, he said, look, sit down. We got to talk. And he's like, what are you doing with some kind of guy like that? She's like, oh, he's showing me. I never saw this side of him before. She said, look, he's showing you who he is. This is who he is. And you need to recognize. And she just don't. I don't know why she don't get it. Karen tried to tell her before too. And then all of a sudden she's like, look, I'm tired. You know, I think I'm going to go to bed. I was like, what? He was like, she's like, maybe we should, you know. He said, wait, you want me to leave? And she's like, you know, I think it's for the best. I said, oh my God. The worst thing she could do is have him leave, because I felt Gary was going to be out downstairs waiting to see him leave and either fight him or come back up once he left. And she'd be unprotected. And my thinking was correct. But, you know, Paris said, you know, this is really jacked up, Andi. Like, you have him come all the way over here and get into a damn fight, and then you send his ass home. You should have been pampering him and making him feel better and all kind of craziness. That man saved your life. Yes, I know you saved me. He damn sure did. I was like, oh my God, Andi, it's like you telling the wrong people to leave and put, okay, y'all got to help me with this, because I can't stand the way she is. So let's move on from her, because after he kissed her goodbye and stuff, I was like, he told her have a good night. I was like, Andi's stupid. I knew Gary's going to come back up in there. But anyway, so then Fatima gets home and she realized Zach is not there. She's, Zach not there. So she get on the phone and call him, and he making all these faces, you know, on the other side of the phone, like damn, I don't want to answer the phone. Why am I answer the phone? And she's like, well, you not coming here? He's like, no, I'll talk to you in the morning. In the morning, really? He's like, oh, wow. She's like, okay. I don't get what that scene was about. To me, they could have left all that out. So then they went to Karen. Karen makes it home, and the pastor's there on the tree. What's his name? Aaron. You know, he sleep on the couch and stuff. And then she wakes up. Oh, I'm sorry for waking you up. And she sits next to him on the couch. And then they cuddle and they lay down, and I guess they spooning. You know, but he you know, she's inside his hug and stuff, and they laying on the couch all hugged up, and he's like, you smell good. She's like, please, that ain't nothing but some nachos and margaritas or something like that, she said. And so then he said, she's like, you smell good too. He said, really? And she sniffed it. She said, yeah, you smell like rugged. He said, oh, I thought you was gonna say I smell like love. And she said, really? You thought I was gonna say that? He's like, well, he said, my mama always told me. He said something about what his mama always told him. You could smell love in the air before spring or something like that. So I'm saying, I ain't never heard that saying before, but his mama said it. Okay. So his mother said that. He said that they started talking, you know, and she was saying, you know, let's pace ourselves. You know, let's keep it slow and everything. Don't rush anything, you know. And they were having that little chit-chat, love talk and stuff. And after a while, they're talking. She said, you know what, let's go to bed. He said, go to bed? You sure I could do that? She was like, why? He said, I know you feel that. I guess he was hard up against her booty and stuff. I was like, oh, shoot. She said, I said, let's pace it now. Let's keep it slow. Let's keep it respectable. Let's keep it, let's pace it. But they were laughing because she was laughing because she could feel that. What's that in that bump in her booty? Rump. Let me stop. Anyway, so what else was happening? That was them. Then they had, who did they show? Danni and Rodeo. She got me calling him Rodeo. I don't even remember what his name is no more. But they had him, and she comes home, and she's sneaking in, take a shower, and then she gonna wake him up. And you know how she is, Danni, because Danni wants sex. That's Danni's thing. So, she shows up, she wakes him up, and he said, I heard you tipping toe in there and stuff. And they start talking, and he started telling her, you know, she trying to get him in the bed, and he wanted to tell her that he's sleeping on the couch, saying, I don't like, you know, when you call me that white guy. And she was like, well, you are, like, what's this all about? She's like, well, you know, you are a white guy. And he said, you wouldn't like me calling you that black girl. She was like, okay, point taken. He said, I also don't like you calling me Rodeo. So he's telling her all the things he don't like. And he's basically, and she's like, well, like, let's get on with the sex. You know, she was like, I ain't giving up Rodeo. I ain't giving up Rodeo. He said, but see, I'm telling you what I don't really like, and you're not understanding it, and you want me to accept what you don't like. So he made a point. You know, I don't know what Danni be thinking sometimes, because she get upset for things that she think other people shouldn't get upset for. And that's not right. So he's trying to learn. Of course, you see, he's trying to learn what, you know, and at least he says that's what he's doing. And she says she wouldn't do that anymore. He said, because I would never call you that black girl from the airport. You wouldn't like that. She was like, okay, be careful, you know. So anyway, she got his point. She dragged him in the back, trying to say, let's have sex. And he kept telling her he got to go to work and get up early. He got to rustle some cows or something like that. He said he got to do. That's hard work. And anyway, he ends up pulling her. She ends up pulling him to the back. And he go, look, I ain't going to lick your butt. Because he was telling her she could have had some kind of disease. I don't know if he said hepatitis or something. And from that guy, because didn't y'all come in from the club? He said, didn't y'all come in from the club and you didn't even shower, and he went down in there? I said, oh, come on, this is nasty now. This was nasty talk, but I was laughing because it was funny. Anyway, so then they show Maurice, and then he says somebody banging on his door, knocking on his door in the middle of the night. And he's like, who the hell is at my door? But of course we know who it is. It's Sabrina, and Sabrina's at his door, and she's stupid drunk. And he says, Savannah, what is going on with you? He cracks me up because he calls her Savannah. I have friends who do that. We got all these different names for each other, and it's not our regular names. I don't know why. But she comes in there drunk, and she's talking about Calvin, and he's like, who's tired of hearing about Calvin? And he put up a foot and hands and everything. He's like, I'm tired of hearing about it. Oh, he wants to commit, and he wants to be in a commitment, and oh, she's complaining, and she's drunk, and she's upset, and she's not ready for this, and you know, and she's like, can you hold me? You know, she said, I don't want to be alone tonight. He said, honey. Girlfriend, you know how Maurice is. Girl. I ain't been in a vagina since I was born. He said, and I ain't even trying to traumatize myself again. I said, no, where you get that from? You know? So he's like, okay, let's just do something else. He's like, I don't want to hear about this no more, you know? And so, what is it? She found out somehow. I was trying to remember how she found out that he got hurt his hand. I think she saw some stuff on the table. She saw some stuff on the table and figured he hurt his hand and stuff like that, you know. And he was like, "Oh, it's nothing. It's nothing." He said, "But why? Why are you talking about? You know, what's with this Calvin thing? Oh, he was with another girl at the restaurant and all that stuff." He said, "Oh, girl, you got to make up your mind what you want. You got to make up your mind what you want. If he's what you want, if he not, let him go, blah, 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 blah." And, you know, Maurice had made a lot of sense, you know. But Sabrina is just so confused. And she said that. She said, I get confused. I don't know what I want. He said, well, you going to have to figure it out, girl. Well, he didn't say girl. He said bitch. Well, bitch, you got to, he called her bitch 24 hours a day. I don't know how many times he said bitch in this episode, but he said it enough times that I was like, damn, it just became regular at that point. So he, she sees the ice pack. What was that for? And he telling me Alonzo showed up at her. She's like, oh, no, and all this stuff. And he said, I'll show you on the video. And he was able to pull up the video of the the bank video on the outside. I don't know how he was able, the people at the bank who worked there able to do that. I worked at a bank. We didn't have that. But anyway, maybe he's a manager or something. Anyway, so she go and sees that he's still on the ground, right? He shows everything to fight in, but it's like an hour later. It's only an hour later. And she's like, oh my God, he's still down there. He could be dead. Now all of a sudden, she's so worried about Alonzo when she was trying to whoop Alonzo's behind in that club for beating up Maurice. So I'm like, come on, which way you going with this, Sabrina? All of a sudden, you on Alonzo's side? I didn't get that part. So they was like, let's go to the bank, because she had him on nervous and stuff. And they drove to the bank to see what was going on. In the meantime, Calvin is with this girl. His date. What was her name? Jan. And they were in bed trying to do it. He couldn't get it up. She's like, oh, it ain't working and stuff. She's like, what's up? No, something's wrong. And it has something to do with the girls at the table. I know it because you kept looking over there at them. What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? And he was like, nah, it's nothing. She said, yes, it is. Tell me. Which one was it? He said, one with the braids. She said, I figured it was that one. He said, how you know? Because the way she kept looking over here at you. She kept looking at you all the time, you know, and stuff. She said, that girl's in love with you. He was like, no, she not. She don't love me, you know. And she's like, yes, she does. She said, if you did what you just did to me, if you did that to her, she love you. So obviously him and this girl are friends from back in the days, you know. So she started talking to him and explaining to him what's going on. You know, that maybe she's scared. She said maybe she's just scared, you know, of the unknown. Because, you know, even though she's telling him to show himself, show who he is, she's like, pull some of it back because everybody's not used to what he's used to. You know, and that made sense. And she seemed like she was a good friend. I guess she was one of those friends that they tight, but they have sex every now and then. I mean, that's what I'm gathering from their relationship, and you know. And he said, but she thinks I'm gay, you know, that's the thing. And she said, well, you know, you are on the spectrum. He's like, oh, come on, you too. She's like, well, you know, there's some things you do that you need to pull it back a little bit. And I was like, she right about that. I'm glad he stopped with them lace underwear, because that was too much for me even. So she said, you should go over there and tell her, I know you're scared, but it's all going to be okay. And he's like, I'm not going to go do that. She's like, well, then you won't know, you know. So he's like, can you hold me? She's like, are you for real? He's like, yeah, hold me. You remember back in the day you used to hold me? She said, look, you're going to have to let this go. You have to let this go. She said, but I'll do it one more time with you. Come on. And she was like, come on. And they ended with her holding him. I was like, dude, Calvin, women ain't gonna like that. You can't do that. At least not all the time. Anyway, so then it goes on to who was next. Andi hears someone in her house, and of course at her door, and it's Gary, you know that, and he's been in there drinking. And she's like, you gotta go. She must have told him 12 times, you gotta go. You can't keep coming up in here. I'm changing the locks, you know her. And he's like, is he in your room? And he's sitting there drinking, getting drunk, and she's like, oh, no. And he's like, well, I'm going to go lay in the bed. No, you can't. No, you can't lay in the bed. You have to go. You have to go home. I don't have anywhere to go. You took everything. No, you got to go home. He's looking at, he's like, don't you love me? Yes, I love you. He said, you know, I don't have a home. And then he's looking at her, and he said, you didn't call the police on me, but don't you love me, right? Then you didn't call the police. She said, no, I didn't call the police on you. And then he's looking at her and say, wait a minute, you want me to get out of here? Were you and Jasmine in this together? Are you and Jasmine together? I said, see, you can't talk to someone who's drunk. It ain't gonna make no sense. You might as well in that. He was drunk. He started thinking that she was in it with Jasmine. Oh my God, do you love me? I don't like this. She's like, I don't like this, Gary. You gotta go. And she tries to get him up to walk, you know, over to the couch. And he starts hugging her. You know, I love you. I love you so much. You know what this reminds me of? Lenny in the, what's that book? Oh my God, A Time to Kill, not A Time to Kill. What's the name of that book? With Lenny, he squeezed the doggone animal so tight and killed it. Oh my God, I had to read that book in school, and I remember his name too. To Kill a Mockingbird, I think. Is that it? I think it was To Kill. That's what it reminded me of. Gary kept squeezing her so hard. And she was like, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I said, here it is. He gonna kill her. He gonna kill her. And he squeezed her till, I guess, something happened. I tell you. I can't take it, Tyler. I don't know where you're taking us with this, but this is a bit too much for me. Then it goes on to Fatima, and she goes to the house, and she finds Zach, and they have their little conversation, and he's like, look, I need this. She's like, why are you sitting there on the floor? Why you don't just come back to the house home? And he's like, no, I'm good. He's like, I need to make this work. You know, I have to stay focused. And she's like, well, why are you staying here? He said, look, I could go shower at the airport. No, why you don't have to do that? She's like, just come back with me. He was like, I can't F this up. I can't F this up. He said, she said, so staying in my house is going to be messing it up? And he said, yes. See, he got Hayden in his head now. Whatever Hayden said to him, we saw it last episode, the mess with Zach. And Zach's like, I ain't never had nothing work right, and I got to stay focused and blah, blah, blah. So she was disappointed, you know, and everything. And he's like, you got to respect what I'm doing. She's like, he said, just let me do me. And she's like, I understand. I got it. He said, here, you mad now? And she's like, no, forget it. No, I'm good. He said, let me walk you to the car. She said, no, you ain't got to walk me to the car. I'm okay. He said, this is a rough neighborhood. She said, look, I'm a Philly girl. I came here and got you. I got up in here by myself, right? She's like, so I'm good. So they just, you know, she was pissed and she walked out and left. I was like, oh, man. So then Maurice and Sabrina, they show up at the bank. And Sabrina, all of a sudden, she's so caring about this guy, Alonzo. I thought she was drunk. So she jumps out the car and goes over there. And she's like, Alonzo. She yelling his name. And he gonna get up. And he's like, kick him. She's like, that's not funny. He said, I ain't trying to be funny, bitch. Kick him and see if he alive. So she kicked him and he moved. It didn't. I think he rolled over. Not that he moved, but the leg moved or something. He said, kick him again. I got to make sure and stuff. And she's like, give me your gun. She said, that's not funny. He's like, look. She's like, give me my phone. Give me my phone. He said, here. He said, what you need the phone for? To call an ambulance. Go call an ambulance. So he give her a phone and said, here. And here your pocketbook too. And he said, bye, bitch. He left her in the phone. You care so damn much. Bye, bitch. He left her. I was like, oh no. She's like, don't you care? He's like, no, I got a goddamn restraining order. You know, he's like, he's right. He got a restraining order. That dude came to him, to his job, looking for him, messing with him. He was defending himself. I don't care. He's like, damn, now you got me thinking he could be dead and stuff. He said, look, you want your phone and pocketbook, you could call a ride, bitch. Bye. Maurice needs so much help. I can't take it. Anyway, then it ended with Karen and Aaron in bed. I like that name, Karen and Aaron in bed, and they was asleep, and his phone was blowing up, and she's calling him, and she's like, who is it? He's like, oh man, it's one of the men from my group, you know, at church. And she's like, oh, let me get out. You need privacy? He said, no, that's okay. And he's got, you know, he was talking, and Gary's like, oh, I'm driving. He's driving, and he's like, I can't do it, man. What's wrong with me? You know, and he's like, what's the matter? He's like, where are you? Oh, she was with somebody. You know that girl, Andi? She was with somebody. She had that dude up in the fucking house. I tried. You told me to get rid of, you know, to clean up my relationship, my wife first. And I did that. And he's doing it. He's like, dude, slow down. He's like, pull over. He trying to get him. Pull over to tell him where he at. And I knew it was going to happen. And it slipped up. First of all, you could hear stuff when people talking on cell phones if you're next to somebody. But he slipped up and said, Gary, look, da-da-da-da. So Karen didn't say anything because anybody had the name Gary. But then he said, I know you love Andi. She's like, Andi? She's like, is that Gary such and such? He said, yeah, you know him? He said, I did it. I couldn't help it, man. He said, what did you do to Andi? Karen's like, Andi. So she calls Andi right there while he's on the phone. Now, to me, when you're talking to somebody else on the phone, I know Gary was in another frame of mind and he's driving and speeding. But she's on the phone right next to Aaron going, Andi, call me back. When you get this message, call me back. Really? You had to do that right by him? Thank God he didn't hear that, because then that would have been another mess. you know. And he kept saying, what did you do to her? And blah, 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 blah. I was like, this is too much. Gary was losing it. He was a loose cannon. He was like, how much can a man take? How much can a man take? And he's like, yeah. He said, I can't take it no more. I can't take it no more. All of a sudden, they showed like these bright lights, and he's holding the steering wheel like he about to run into something or somewhere. Like he gonna run into a car. Oh, maybe he was running onto incoming traffic because you saw bright lights and him going like that. And it's like, and then the phone is dead. She's like, oh my God, what happened? And they both jump out of bed to get dressed. And so next week, we got to find out what happened to Andi. Is she passed out? Because it seemed like it's a lot of time left where they may be able to revive her. If he might have put her in a sleeper hold, you know, squeezing her. You know how people lose consciousness, but they not dead. So hopefully that's what happened. But anyway, y'all let me know what y'all thinking in the comment section. I thought this was a great episode. I can't wait to see next week, you know. Like I said, there was the beginning and the end were my best parts that I enjoyed the most. The rest could have stayed. But anyway, y'all know the drill. Like it if you like it. Comment below. Subscribe to my channel. And this is Barbie J saying peace.